Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Greeting class! Such a pleasure for me to meet you all again in our virtual class today. Are you ready to learn? Well, today we are going to learn about noun clause and adjective clause. Alright class, let's start our lessons today. Well, there are 4 points that we are going to learn together. First, we will talk about the definition of noun clause. Second, we will talk about the function of noun clause. Then, we will talk about adjective clause. And the last one, we will talk about the function of adjective clause. Before we continue our lessons, let's have a quick review about the meaning of nouns and a clause. Nouns are the words used to refer to people, places, or things. A clause is a group of words that functions as one part of speech, and that includes a subject and a verb. I hope our quick review helps you to recall of what you have learned and develops a concrete base for your learning. Now let's dive in and get to know the meaning of noun clause. Noun clauses are dependent clauses and cannot function alone as a complete sentence. Noun clauses are subordinate clauses which take place of a noun. A noun clause may perform various nominal functions as a subject, an object, a subject complement, an object complement, a positive, adjective phrase complement, noun phrase complement, and prepositional complement. Let's try to apply it in sentences. In noun clauses, often includes one of the WH words such as who, what, when, where, and why, and the related words whatever, whenever, and whomever. Other questions words such as if, how, and that are also common in noun clauses. Here are some examples of noun clause and its function. Let's check it out. The first one, the function as subject. There is a sentence said that we can finish the race surprises me. Can you find a noun clause? That's right. The phrase that we can finish the race is the noun clause. Excellent. Now let's continue. The function as direct object. I wondered why she was crying yesterday. Can you find again the noun clause? Yes, that's right. Why she was crying yesterday is the noun clause. Good. Now, the function as indirect object. The manager has offered whoever gets 20 customers in 3 days a reward. Can you find the noun clause? Very good. You are correct. Whoever gets 20 customers in 3 days is the noun clause. Now let's continue to the next function. The function as subject complement. Her mother's presence is what she is hoping to. Can you find a noun clause? Yes, that's right. What she is hoping to is the noun clause. The next one, the function as object complement. She lost her wallet, which she just bought yesterday. Can you guess the noun clause? Very good, you are correct. The noun clause is which she just bought yesterday. Continue to the next one, the function as a positive. The ring that I bought last week was stolen. Can you find a noun clause here? Very good. You are right. The noun clause is that I bought last week. The next function is adjective phrase complement. It is unclear why he quit his job. The noun clause here, why he quit his job. Yes, very good. Now the function is noun phrase complement. Can you guess which one is the noun clause phrase? Excellent. You are right. Whether our science team will join the national competition is the noun clause. The next function is prepositional complement. I am amazed at how fluent you have presented your speech. Can you find the noun clause here? Very good. You are correct. At how fluent you have presented your speech is the noun clause. Alright class, to complete your understanding about noun clauses, we are going to take a look at the categories of noun clauses. There are 7 different nominal categories. They are declarative subordinate clause. The example of the sentence, everyone knows that Jerome Pauline is smart and funny. The next one, interrogative subordinate clause. What I want to buy is not available in the store. The third one, exclamative subordinate clause. I am amazed at how fast your son has grown up. The next one, to infinitive subordinate clause. My father told me to study diligently. Alright class, very good. Thank you for being very attentive during the class. Shall we continue? Alright, let's continue the lesson. Okay, other categories. Let's check. The fifth one, imparticiple subordinate clause. The sentence, her intention is giving donation to the nursing home in Bandung. The next one, bare infinitive subordinate clause. What I did was just watch TV. The last one, passive participle subordinate clause. I had my car repaired 2 days ago. Alright class, to sharpen your understanding, let's practice. Are you ready? Let's start. There are 4 sentences on the screen. Let's identify the noun clauses and its function. Number 1. Can you identify which phrase shows noun clause? Good, that's right. The noun clause is that the flashlight needs batteries. Let's check number 2. How about it? Great, the noun clause is what my daughter made is the noun clause. As you can see, the noun clause is placed at the beginning of the sentence. Can you guess its function? Excellent, you're right. Its function as subject. Continue to number 3. Can you find the noun clause? Very good, you're correct. The noun clause is what I wish for. How about its function? That's right. Its function is as subject complement. You did great so far. Good job. Now we've come to the last one. Can you mention the noun clause? Wonderful. You're right again. The noun clause is which my mother gave her yesterday. How about its function? That's right. Its function is as object complement. Great job, everyone. I hope you keep practicing to maintain your good understanding about noun clauses. Okay, class, now that you've learned about noun clauses, let's continue to the next unit. We will talk about adjective clause. An adjective clause is a dependent clause which takes the place of an adjective in another clause or phrase. Like an adjective clause modifies a noun or pronoun. The functions of adjective clauses are restricted to noun phrase pause modifiers. In terms of structure, an adjective clause may be a finite or a non-finite subordinate clause. In terms of semantics, adjective clauses are divided into two types. They are restrictive and non-restrictive modification. Now that you know the definition of adjective clause, we will now learn on how to use it in sentences. Are you ready? Great! I can see you are all ready to learn. Before we learn further the use of adjective clause in terms of structure, we will figure out why adjective clause are recognized as restrictive and non-restrictive modification. Restrictive modification contains information that is necessary to the meaning of the sentence. Without it, the sentence would have a very different meaning. The restrictive modification helps us to identify or define the noun phrase which is modified. Take a look at the example on the screen. The house has been rebuilt. But which house? The next sentence. The house where I was born has been rebuilt. When we add the phrase of where I was born, the sentence is complete because we now know which house that has been rebuilt. The house where I was born. In restrictive modification, we do not use commas with these clauses. The second type is the non-restrictive or non-essential adjective clauses that gives further information which is not essential to the meaning or identification of the noun phrase. They are equivalent to separate. A non-essential adjective clause simply adds information to a sentence. The information does not change the meaning of the sentence. Please observe the example on the screen. Jackson, who owns a coffee shop, is my youngest brother. As we can see, the phrase of who owns a coffee shop is an extra information of the main sentence, Jackson is my youngest brother. So, this phrase is a non-restrictive modification because it does not change the meaning of the sentence of Jackson is my youngest brother. In these clauses, we must use commas. So remember that, everyone. Alright, class. Now that you've known how to contrast between restrictive and non-restrictive modification, we can move on to the next chapter of adjective clause, the finite and non-finite adjective clause. Finite adjective clause are subordinate clauses introduced by the relative pronouns of who, whom, which, whose, and that. Who, that, and which usually its function as subject, and whom as object. Whose is for possessive determiner. Here are some examples of finite adjective clauses. Number 1. The beautiful woman who came to my house yesterday is my piano teacher. The phrase who came to my house yesterday explains the subject of the beautiful woman. Number 2. I met the man whom we spoke about this morning. The phrase whom we spoke about this morning explains the object of the sentence. It adds information about the man. Number 3. The woman whose car parked in front of my house is my aunt. The phrase whose car parked in front of my house explains the subject of the woman. Number 4. The blue sweater which I bought yesterday is very soft and comfortable. The phrase which I bought yesterday explains the blue sweater. Number 5. The strawberry cake that was made by my mother is very delicious. The phrase that was made by my mother explains about the strawberry cake. It adds information about the strawberry cake. Alright class, very good. Thank you for being very attentive. Now, let's continue to the next one. The next one is the non-finite adjective clauses. There are 3 types of non-finite adjective clauses, which include adjectival imparticiple clauses, adjective passive participle clauses, and adjectival to infinitive subordinate clauses. Adjectival imparticiple subordinate clause is an adjective clause that is built around an imparticiple clause corresponds to a relative clause whose pronoun is the subject. Here is the example. The little girl sitting on a swing is my sister. As you can see, the phrase sitting on a swing is the adjectival imparticiple subordinate clause. The next one, adjectival passive participle subordinate clause. As with the imparticiple clause, an adjectival passive participle clause also corresponds to a relative clause whose relative pronoun is the subject. The example, the new song sung by Raisa will be released soon. The phrase sung by Raisa is the adjectival passive participle subordinate clause. The next one, adjectival to infinitive subordinate clause. An adjectival to infinitive clause may correspond to a relative clause whose pronoun is the subject, an object, or a prepositional complement. The example, the first person to step on the moon was Neil Armstrong. The phrase to step on the moon was the adjectival to infinitive subordinate clause. Okay, that's the explanation about the finite adjective clauses and the non-finite adjective clause. Some adjective clauses can also be built around verbless clauses. This usually happens when the relative pronoun and the verb in the subordinate clause that post-modifies a noun phrase are ellipsed, like in the sentence, Sandra loves the flowers full of colors. The underlined phrase is an adjective clause that modifies the noun phrase, the flowers. It can be said as those are full of colors. Alright class, we've reached the final part of our lesson today. But before we end the session, let's summarize it. So we have understood that noun clause is part of a sentence and performs syntactic function within the sentence level. It acts as a noun. An adjective clause is part of a noun phrase. It does not perform syntactic function within the sentence level, but within the phrase level. Its function is restricted to noun phrase post modifier. Well everyone, that's the end of our class for today. How was it? I hope you enjoy our today's lesson and are able to grasp the materials thoroughly. Thank you for your active participation and keep practicing to sharpen your English skills. If you have any questions, you can contact me via email. The address is now showing on your screen. Always remember to stay safe and stay healthy. Bye everyone! See you on the next lesson of English Time with Miss Yuli.